This goes out to you, and you, and you, and you. This goes out to you. This goes out to you.
What's poppin'? All right, man. Welcome back. Welcome back. I appreciate y'all patiently waiting with us tonight, man. So we gonna jump right back into it, man. I got a text message from one of my partners or whatever saying that's something that he definitely was going through in his relationship, and he definitely would love to chat a little bit later. I told him no problem, bruh, because he needs more clarity on that, as far as not clarity, but just needs to elaborate a little more on the hypocritical. He said his old lady kind of like that now, but definitely, the second part, man, and pay attention, man. I mean, seriously, family, I love y'all, and I would love to see nothing but our relationship be able to gel and mesh, and everybody just live in harmony. I understand that we all come from different walks of life, but one thing that is really big in relationships. One is the most important, of course, is respect. Respect. That shit to me, man, it's just no, give me 3 claps and a Ric Flair, it's just not, it should not be that hard, to be able to respect your person, respect your mate, man. I'm sorry, when you respect somebody, a lot of times, even if you agree with the person or you don't agree with the person, or that person does something that you may not have agreed with, the love that you have for that person, man, that should be enough for you to just be like, okay, you know what, I can do something with this bitch right here, because they stand for something. Which brings me to my next part. A lot of times when the respect goes out of the way, you start to do little shit that really is almost like a passive aggressive. And the most important part of that is you have to maintain the integrity of the relationship and the respect. So my second part, my number 2, is stonewalling becomes the norm. I remember that to this day. Stonewalling becomes the norm. And, I remember when I wrote that down, my ex-wife was just like, what does that mean? I don't stonewall. And I'm like, oh, yes, you do. And for y'all that don't know what stonewalling mean, basically it's the silent treatment. It's a reformed version of silent treatment. And so stonewalling, when it becomes the norm, that's a immediate sign that a motherfucker is just almost throwing in a towel and done with you. Because usually in a relationship, when you're still learning each other, when you're still, learning how to coexist with each other, you're learning his habits, her likes, her dislikes, his dislikes, you tend to start really learning something about yourself, learning something about her, things that tend to get on your fucking nerves, things that get on, you on her nerves, etc., right? In the beginning, you're gonna butt heads. I can't stand talking to people who love to condition people with this mindset that you ain't gonna go through some shit. That's one thing that you're gonna go through something. There are just gonna be days when y'all just can't get right. But again, as long as the respect is still intact, you should be fine. When I say stonewalling, a lot of times in the beginning when y'all butt heads, or maybe there's a communication flaw, or maybe there's something that you guys can't agree on, you guys tend to, basically stonewall. If that person has done something to you, you might cut the conversation immediately short. Like, what, don't even worry about it. That's an example. Or, when you're explaining something that you're passionate about, honey, that's not what I was trying. Don't even worry about it. I mean, we good. When you keep doing that, eventually that leaves that person out there almost kind of on an island by themselves, because they don't have clarity, or they may not have a closure to the situation, or what is it that, you're needing from them. So a lot of times when you don't communicate what the fuck is bothering you, you're leaving your mate on an island to figure the shit out by themselves. And a lot of times, I'm going to be real with you, men and women, we love to think that the person is just going to understand what the hell you are feeling or what upset you. And that is not the case. You are dealing with an adult that has their own issues, their own situations, whether y'all got kids, whether that person had kids, etc. So basically stonewalling is an elevated version of silent treatment. To me, it's a refined way that basically it's when you basically, it occurs when someone gets upset. To me, that's the fucking way that I always thought about it. When somebody gets upset and they shut the fuck down and they disengage from the conversation. Now, that's fine in its initial stage, because sometimes you may not know what may send this person over the edge. You may not want to push that person's envelopes, especially if you're dealing in relationships where, the woman may have told you she's been through things with a man that was, belligerent or very chastising or condescending, etc. So you damn sure may not want to go in that direction. But when you fucking stonewall 24/7 and that becomes the norm, basically that to me is the number one fucking way that you are asking for a divorce. Listen to me. When you keep cutting off any communication to the person because you don't want to deal with the shit, or you feel like you already know what direction that person is going to go in, you are asking for a divorce, or you are asking for a breakup. And most importantly, I hate to say it, you are asking to get cheated on. Because when a person feels like at the end of the day that they cannot talk to you, when they can no longer trust that you are going to have their best interest at heart when it comes to them being able to communicate or even agree. This is one thing that drove me crazy again in my marriage was, I remember my ex-wife would say, I can't talk to you. And I took heed to that. I took offense to that, because I would say, at what point do you voice anything in the relationship? And that wasn't me trying to have a tit for tat, but I gave her a task. I said, you can't just come in here and say that you can't talk to me. You see what I'm saying? Because we had other issues, but again, that was one. She just said, I can't talk to you. And I said, what do you mean you can't talk to me? Every time I try to talk to you, you get upset, or you this and this and this. And I said, I really thought about it, and I said, no, you're just wanting someone who's just going to agree with you at will. That is not what a husband is. And I knew what my responsibilities were. I said, if you're looking for a man that's just going to always take your side, whether you're right or wrong, then you're in the wrong business. Because I don't need anyone in a marriage that is just going to agree with me all the time and just tell me all the good shit that I need to hear. You got to have a motherfucker in your corner that's going to always have this thing that I always say. I need me a motherfucker with me that's just going to stand with me, stand up for me, and most importantly, stand up to me. I'm not lying. Slow clap for that one. Yes, you need people in your corner that are going to be able to stand up to you and tell you sometimes, well, look, sweetie, I'm not disagreeing with you. However, I do feel like you might be able to look at it this way, and you may be able to get a better positive response or a positive reaction or a positive expectation. You may be able to get a better understanding of the situation that you're struggling with, etc. That's the second one, man. Just stonewalling, man. Learn how to talk. And even if your man or your woman is not agreeing with you, ask them this question. Are you disagreeing with me, or are you just trying your best not to agree with me? You see what I'm saying? Because if you really get to the bottom of it, a lot of times people just get so resentful that it don't matter. You could be writing a fucking Declaration of Independence and they'll still find something negative with it. You could be writing a Bible verse and they will find something flawed in it. It has nothing to do with what you're trying to talk about. It's the fact that they have detached from the relationship, and you are saying something that, to be honest with you, they just don't give a fuck about. So, which brings me, to my third one, and at any point, man, just chime in. I got my phone on me, man. Y'all can hit me up on Spreaker.com, the open book, and just hit the chat button, man, and we're here. I'm still, still trying to get things popping, with the whole thing. We're still in our initial stages. I appreciate everybody, but oh, by the way, I have my Facebook up. Ain't this about a bitch? I forgot to turn on my, let me see here. Let's go. Yep, we invited people. All right, we're still on. All right, so, the third part that I wanted to talk about in this, we get into the meat of shit now. And if this hits home with y'all, man, just tag in and let me know at any point that this is something that you actually are dealing with. He or she is not. This is the third one. And this is what I got in my ugly ass handwriting. He or she is noticeably irked when you don't follow through on something. That to me is one thing that eventually you can start telling when a person is starting to, disconnect from the relationship. When motherfuckers start getting irked when you don't follow through on shit, on anything, everything just rubs them the wrong way. That's a clear sign that, they're starting to, throw the towel in. Now, listen to me. A lot of times, I remember when I was going through my divorce, I would always question them, like, she just seems like she's just not happy in this thing anymore. I remember when I was at home, did I hurt myself? I'm not sure if I hurt myself. I think I was just off for a couple of days. Well, anyway, the kids were at home. We had a blended home. And I remember one time, I said that I was going to take the kids to the park. And she had just had this presence on her, like the shit, like everything was just making her fucking unhappy. And I remember I was just like, God damn, why is everything, bothering her? So I remember when she came home, she was a school teacher at the time. I used to teach. And she came in and the kids were still at home. Now, keep in mind, it's just 3:50 or 4 o'clock. And she was just like, I thought you were going to take the kids to the park. I said, yeah, we just haven't done that yet. And her presence was like, well, when were you going to do it? I mean, it's getting dark in a couple of hours. It was just like the shit drove her crazy that I did not follow through with taking the kids to the park, let alone that was still my plan. Doesn't get dark here in Georgia until like 8, 9 o'clock. And it was, it was a perfect day. Me and the kids, we were just having a good time in the house. But that bothered her. I remember one time, I canceled a plan that we had. I just was going to take her to the movies, and I had to work late. And in our beginning stages, remember, a lot of times when you're first dating, those things are easy. You could call a person and say, hey, sweetie, I think I'm going to have to take a rain check or, whatever. Hey, my sister got sick. I'm going to run over here and check on her, etc. I remember I was going to take her to go see a movie, and I called and I told her, hey, and it was a fucking Friday, by the way. I said, hey, I'm going to take a rain check on this tonight. I'm going to take you to the movies tomorrow. Something came up and I had to cancel our movie. Now, you would have thought this fucking movie was just like the last showing because it rubbed her the wrong way. Her presence for the whole night. Now, keep in mind, the kids were already gone. And the kids were going to be gone the whole weekend. I came home. The only reason I did not want to go to the movies was because, again, by the time I got home, I knew sitting in front of a fucking movie, I was going to fall asleep. I was probably not going to be in the most, in the best condition mentally to be sitting in front of a screen. You understand? But she took that shit. And when I got home, we went to dinner. But I just didn't want to go to the movies. You get what I'm saying? But that shit bothered her the entire night. And what do you know? It was a deeper issue that revealed its ugly ass head when I questioned that. I asked her, I said, hey, why is shit like this, if I don't follow through on something, starting to just literally fuck up your whole week? And it was something deeper. But we're going to pause for a break here, and I'll be right back. Family, we are having a great time here. I'll be back. All right.